Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. Before we get to the project at hand, I just wanted to say that I've spent the last half hour or possibly more getting organized yet again with the supplies for my purple journals. Now, I had done some organizing, had condensed and separated and had a pretty good handle on things, I thought, the other day. Then, of course, I had to clear the decks to pack orders and send invoices and so on for the live sale that happened last week. And worst of all, had to do income tax. So that, I mean, the stuff got delivered today to the accountant. I guess next week we'll go and hear the verdict. And yeah, it's always good to have that job behind one, that's for sure. Anyway, because I had to, again, organize myself for this video, I'll show you what I've done. This is a little 4-compartment acrylic, plastic, whatever you call it, container. One of a set of 2, like 10 inches by 3.5 inches by almost 6 inches. One of a 2-pack that I found at London Drugs when I was waiting for my car to be done, finished at the mechanics. So, of course, if 1 box of 2 is good, then 2 boxes of 2 has to be like twice as good, right? Anyway, I think that for a purpose like this, it is the cat's meow, because I was able to sort of set aside a compartment at the back here with items that I think are largely finished, or they need very little, maybe corners rounded or something like that. In the next section, which is quite a bit bigger, there are a whole bunch of elements that need more work. Maybe they need to be backed, maybe they need to be decorated, they need something. This third section is where I have been putting things that I'm going to turn into little notebooks. So just as an example, this is one of those larger index cards that I covered with one of the doilies, one of the napkins out of my French assortment. So as I'm finding pieces of paper that seem like they would go, I'm just tucking them. Oh, I might need that. I'm just tucking them in here and holding it all together, because when the time is right, they will be stitched or stapled or whatever together. I won't belabor that because you know what that means. Now, in the front here, I've got, well, you haven't seen it because it hasn't posted yet, but I got these thrifting, and there are some others. I'll show you that in a minute. This is something out a long time ago, library cards and pockets. I must have coffee dyed these, and I don't know, I guess, depending on how it looks, even now that I've turned on the lights here, this looks more bluey than mauve, but we will see. Of course, the most natural light for making color decisions is northern light, and none of us really have the luxury of working only under those conditions. So I have other things. Fussy cuts. This was a freebie from Kim Newberg's coffee site. I have purple tea bags waiting for some action. Just all, I found these today. Now, these, of course, came from a scrapbooking pad. And, they're pretty, all by themselves. But, perhaps we can do better. I have some of these die cuts that I got at a thrift store ages ago. So there are those kinds of odds and ends that need to be worked into some projects, as well as this paper edging. Now, I'm sure I've shown you this before. You won't be able to see it, but it has a design cut into it, and when you peel it away, those little things will be left behind, and it will be a purple strip with white flowers. This one is more funky, and things like this, when there's just a finite amount of it left, I want to be done with it. I want it gone, to say, okay, check, it's all done. So this will kind of be the system I use, I think, for the next little while. So I thought, well, okay, I need to make some decisions before I turn on the camera, because what in the world are you're not going to watch me make decisions. Oh, would have helped if I brought my glue a little closer. That's the other thing. I've now moved most of my basic supplies, my little Lazy Susan carousel thing. What else? Glue stick. Onto a cart that I can parallel park it in my office anytime I want to. Maybe that is it for now. Maybe a card for spreading. Okay, so when I showed you those cards, I also showed you, no, I said there was a second design, and this was it. Don't know where I put, oh, here are the surplus. But you can see that they've got that thingamajig to give them dimension, but of course, it always sits cockeyed. So why do I want that? So I ripped it off, and we'll glue this down straight, hopefully. And then, I mean, that's a beautiful thing on its own. Now, I suppose if I would have brought some more stuff closer, could have, done a little better than just gluing that back down. So maybe that will get left. Now, this was an image of some cut flowers that I cut out of a book that had so many beautiful floral things, images. So, those little stems are getting a little beat up. So I think what I want to do is glue that down. The best way to get most of it on there is to kind of do it at an angle. If I have to touch up a bit there with some green ink, I will. I think I'll pull out this guy for the quickest results. And then I'll show you something that I've done. Okay, let's see. You're going to see this on Friday, because I have started my reduced video schedule. I mean, it'll probably differ somewhat from week to week, because if I have absolutely something brilliant that needs to be shown, or a challenge or whatever, getting things done in a timely way is as important as doing them in the first place. So there could be weeks where there are bonus videos, is what I'm... Ooh, it's alive. There will be bonus videos some weeks, is what I'm trying to say. But at minimum, I'm saying Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and likely Sunday as opposed to Saturday. Okay, so I basically want this, I don't want these little tips to go past the edge, because they will just get damaged. Now, what I choose to do with this next is anyone's guess. I think, though, that I should cut those stems off. And, or maybe that's premature. Maybe I'll leave them on there. Now this is going to be too wide to be, need my glue picker upper, going to be too wide to use as is. I'll just add it to my papers here. Okay, if you saw Wednesday's video, you know that I had that eureka moment and figured out that this fabric, along with that other fabric, could be journal covers. Now, I'm not going to work on this as such because I haven't ironed it, and I think we deserve to start out with a crisp and fresh piece of fabric. I will show you, though, that I first glued and then stitched on this variegated purple, mauve, white crocheted trim. And of course, I don't know how to crochet, but obviously the pattern is such that it automatically ruffles on its own, which is kind of cool. If I can find the cover. Oh, just about lost all my... So this was the book. Remember the swine book? At the bottom, I added a little scrappy, you can see it's uneven, wider, narrower, almost disappears in places, a bit of lace, and some mauve rickrack that worked really well with the color. So if I just pull this back a bit, you can see that it's going to be pretty well perfect. And because the cover is in such great shape, I mean, you know, maybe not so much here, but that will get its own treatment. I am not worried about just eventually gluing this down. And I didn't want anything too over the top at the bottom because, you know, if you stand a book on its, you know, you stand it up vertically, you don't want a whole bunch of stuff that interferes with it standing right. So, and I did open this panel up at the seam. So because I didn't, and I think I'm pretty sure I've got more here than I need, but again, I'm not cutting anything off until I'm ready for that stage. Now, more than likely, I mean, there will be excess, but that's okay. This will not, none of that will go to waste. And first of all, before I stop to really think that process through, I had attached this crochet thing the whole length of the piece. So then I stopped myself. I mean, I did stitch over it this evening, but I stopped myself because I thought, okay, let's just hang tough until we see what is the best thing to do with this piece of fabric. Will it get, I'll just pretend that was cut. Like, will it get cut down and become, you know, 3 pockets or something? Will it become a fabric signature in a different journal? Like, you know, I want to keep all my options open, but I did want to show you that. Okay, let's keep moving along here. I wonder, I don't think I'm going to take the time to show you that I did start selecting papers for this. We'll do that another day. Notice the discipline I'm showing. I also found this book. Now, how often do you see purple? Purple text, purple illustrations. So luckily it was just staples holding it. Look at these sandpapers. Just staples holding it together, so there was no problem taking it apart. I removed many of the pages and set them aside. This is 1981, by the way. I love this paper. I'm sure you can't see the design, but it's so subtle, but it's so nice. Anyway, I thought it would work well here. So, and look at that. That was the center fold of the magazine, or of the booklet. So, for now, I'm just holding this all together. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. It is 10 inches tall and 7 inches wide. So that is a bit big. Now I could probably, based on the margins, I could trim it top and bottom. I could probably trim it side to side as well. But we will see. I'm not making any rash decisions. And maybe that becomes like a bonus thing that goes with one of the journals or something. Okay. One time when Carol sent me a bunch of goodies, Carol from Crinkled Path, she sent me a couple packages of this mauve bias tape packaging. Do we even know what the name is? Doesn't really have a brand name, but I mean, it's cute. It's got, albeit the folds were kind of crooked, it does have these folds that are sort of built into it. So I just kind of straightened it out, and I've been kind of trying to train the folds to stay where they should. And it occurred to me that these would be cute to tuck in pockets. And I'm not going over the top with anything at this point. I just thought that perhaps I would make, 3 little pockets. Now, I am still getting used to this whole idea of working without you. And so it feels, honestly, it feels a bit foreign to me to be doing things without letting you know about them. I guess I should have folded it where I like to live on the edge and put the glue wherever it wants to go. Yeah, a little too far. Anyway, so that is going to take a little bit of figuring on my part. I do know that I don't want you to have to, even though some of you have very kindly said, yes, we love spending time with you. Yes, we have coffee with you. Yes, I work alongside you. Those are all wonderful things to say. But I also want to be aware of how precious your time is. And of course, I'm just avoiding getting too close to the fold line because we know that that's asking for trouble. Anyway, so I'm going to hopefully be doing more things off camera, showing, explaining, maybe having, bits and pieces ready to go so that your time is spent more, and mine too, I guess. Although I'm still doing the work, it's just, is the camera rolling or isn't it? I guess is the question. So, yeah, I hope that you stay patient, and, well, of course, you're always welcome to put comments and suggestions or ask questions or whatever you want to do, as long as it's kind, in the comment section. Hence the name, comments. So, if you just please be patient while I kind of get into a new groove here. I will hopefully just be showing, now, it's always, there has to be recognition that everybody's at different stages of development and different points in the journey. So, something that you may have seen 300 times in your journal, in your video watching, may be brand new to somebody who just discovered YouTube the other day. So, okay, there are 3 little pockets there. You would have thought that they would all be the same height, wouldn't you? Anyway, so that is one of those. Now I'm sure it'll need to get something else, but at least that much is done. I will do the second one with this paper that I do not like. It is, it's got glittery stuff and it's got raised parts as well. And of course, it's not the greatest match. However, I think what it proves is that we can use whatever we have on hand. We can work with things that maybe aren't quite our favorites, and we can make it beautiful in the end. Because what is the alternative? Storing it forever, hoping that you start to like it, donating it back to the thrift store after you bought it and after someone else donated it. That seems like kind of circular, doesn't it? And I don't know, are there other choices? So basically what I'm doing, now this is kind of, I don't know why that is like that. Maybe I should glue that one down before I mix the pieces up. So again, take great pleasure in using something up till it's gone. And I also think, based on how much stuff I have for these journals and how many journals, it looks like there are going to be a minimum of 3 full-size journals, plus little mini notebooks and whatnot. It just seems that eclectic is what is going to end up happening here. So if we introduce some glitter or we introduce some yellow or whatever, in the end, I think it'll all work, because it won't just be that one isolated. I feel like taking this little furry edge down a bit. It won't just be, one isolated spot of a particular color, particular element. So I think that will be fine. This could have been a hair shorter. This little bugger still wants to go crooked, even though I've folded it umpteen times. So I hope that you are, oops, this must have, okay, so it was where it was glued into the pad. That's why it's looking like that. I hope that you're well. I hope you're keeping busy. We had a skiff of snow yesterday that was still there this morning. Surprise. It did melt, though, when the sun, oh boy, look how crooked I cut that. It did melt when the sun came out, but the forecast for tonight is -7. So it's going to be kind of cool tomorrow. I have a physio appointment tomorrow, so won't really be home very much, because, when you drive to Edmonton, when you drive an hour and a bit, an hour and a half perhaps, it makes sense to do multiple things. Nobody can afford the time or fuel to just gallivant, as it were. Unless, of course, we're thrifting, in which case all the rules go out the window. Okay, so obviously I still have some of this. One thing I will be doing without you, unless there's something earth-shattering that I must show you, and that will be adding page edging. Now, where did I make that little pile? Because in 2 of the 3 journals, it's not sewn in yet. So the signatures are all loose, and it will be easier to do some of those things. I love, does this color not just make your heart, I don't know, just, this was a strip that was left over from scrapbooking paper. It too has a bit of glitter, but it had, like, there was part of the image above it. So I just trimmed that off. It turned out that on the other side it was black and white, so that went into the black and white journal. Now, I don't know how this color reads on your device. I'm not even sure how it looks here in my artificial light. But I am convinced that I can find a page where these things will look beautiful. And if it means, you know, cutting it off, again, I don't want to, let's not go down that path. But suppose that the page, well, let's see where 8.5 ends. So that would mean taking part of this guy's wing off. Well, I don't think I would do that. I would probably cut around, leave the wing intact, let that just end randomly the way it is. So, or maybe a person cuts it into thirds. 1, 2, 3. So let the butterfly wing be the start of the new piece. And I have 2 of them. So I do want to use them because, of course, they're beautiful. And even if I thrifted them, I still paid for them. So use it, don't store it. So I think what I really wanted to show you today, in addition to sort of giving you a little progress report, is the other day, like, I find that it's almost like therapy. When you need to, when I need to chill, zone out, stop thinking, I make a master board. Now, you probably haven't seen, you probably haven't seen this paper, because I think I forgot when I was doing my thrift haul videos, which again are scheduled into the future, I forgot to show the rolls of wallpaper and gift wrap that I bought. So you've never seen this before. It is, where have I got a scrap piece? It is thin. It is got some shine to it. It is old. And all I did so far was glue it down. I think I had 2 big sections. So I did 1 strip, a second strip, and then of course I had the gap in the middle, so I just started filling in with other pieces. And I love it just as it is. I think the shades of, like, almost black or dark navy, dark purple, and then lighter and lighter tones, and then that creamy beigey color is really effective. But, you know, we can do more than that. I have also today cut up some of these, or torn up some of these pages to become signature pages, just in, you know, because again, I need more pages. So I'll show you. I've sort of pre-selected some stuff, and I know that some of you really appreciate hearing the rationale and knowing, okay, why is she doing what she's doing? Because if you like what I'm doing, I guess then it explains and makes it easier to replicate a style. So, warm tones along with that. This, again, with that off-white and the mauve, warm tones, this will be perfect. Now I have a couple, I think I have a couple of these little strips. If not, I have this that I can use. At some point, I must have stamped, like there was no tomorrow, a whole bunch of these little label stamps. And they're of differing quality. You know, sometimes you get one of those. Sometimes you get one of those. But again, do you see how well this works? Because this too is like, is like a an ivory as opposed to a pure white. That's pure white. So these things would definitely look good on there, and I have obviously several of them. I don't remember. Okay, so this was the, wait, what are these guys called? They do paper pads. I think they're out of Poland, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, a beautiful kit, and I fussy cut around some of these elements. Or maybe it was the cover, like the cover of the pad, or I don't know, a long time ago. So I have these, and again, you can see that these colors would definitely work here. And of course, when you have something like that, it makes an impact, you know, maybe more so than these guys do. But again, I'm keeping them all here because sometimes you need those options. I only have 2 of these die cut frames. Again, they came in a kit. They do not match particularly well, but it does give me the opportunity to introduce another color if I want to. Because of course, in a project like this, I'm not so foolish or impractical as to say, no, it must be this or it doesn't make the cut. That's not what I'm doing. Now, there are these little images that I obviously got out of a book. They could work, but they're a bit on the white side. Now, if, you know, imagine that this was, you know, torn. Those 2 could be pretty nice focal points. But I would probably want to go over them with, what is it? Antique linen or something like that. Although I think my pad needs a re-inker, and I haven't been there yet. Oh, this scrap is to remind me that I have my beautiful hand-dyed cabbage paper, piano paper. So I need to get some scraps. Some is bluer, some is mauver. Each piece is different, but clearly that could also work if we need that kind of an element. Then a long time ago, I guess I punched out some of these. And they're pretty dramatic in that they have a black background that maybe picks up a bit on these black little or dark little blobs. So there's that. That doesn't belong here. Apparently, at one time, I did this stamping. These are some Tim Holtz stamps. That's the one with the German letters. So I've used, which of course is a very legitimate and common color scheme, purple and green. You know, think of African violets and green foliage. If I wanted to use this, I would tear away the green parts because to me the green is just, I don't want it. This is a doily that obviously I use to, I don't know, ink on through, spray through, who knows. Now, because again, it's got these variations, I would either use the darkest part of this and maybe not the rest, or I would turn it over and use it this way because there's enough of that purple bleeding through and it also matches that background color. If I end up using some of these guys, I think that would open the door for some of these little birds. those two were fussy cut out of that thing. So again, at this point, they look kind of disconnected, but if we begin laying stuff down, these are an option that I think might make the cut. And then one night at bedtime, I just punched out all these things. I had all these little strips from, again, thrifted items. So clearly there are a number of mauve, like well, what are those? Those aren't polka dots. They're like the little 3-dot thing. You know, the 3-dot thing. Oh, she's so eloquent. Yeah, so good way to use up elements like that. Now again, on this page is probably, 11, a little over 11 by 11, so almost square. You don't really want this to be the first thing you lay down because it's just like shotgun spray. It's so small and so doesn't really create an impact. So let us maybe begin doing something. I think that I want to definitely use some of this. Unfortunately, well, again, what's the difference? I'm not going to hang on to it. I was going to say I don't have any more scrap pieces, so I'll have to start a new one. Oh, the other day, I don't remember where it was, I thrifted another ruler because, you know, I only have 65 rulers. And I quickly, it's quite thick, fairly rigid, and I chiseled away with my, this belonged to Miller. I chiseled away the, on either side, because, you know, if you only do one side, dollars to donuts, it will be, when you pick it up, it'll be facing the wrong way. So it's best just to do both sides, and then you're covered. My little observation. Oh, I've also got this that could work here. That's another scrap. Oh, and I forgot to show you these. Now, these are just kind of awful thin paper, but the color is good. Now, I guess I could have waited another 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, to have fussy cut this. I obviously would not use it the way it is, but I also didn't want to delay starting the video any more because I need to get on with it. So maybe I'll just quickly do some of this just as a reminder to myself to add it in, because there's a good chance that I will not get this done in the space of this video, but you can be sure we will revisit this at some point. And this, as you know, I do them my master boards in books most often, and so the back is not covered yet with anything. And again, you know, I find that it lies pretty flat. I mean, if I was using a really wet glue or something and it was warping, then maybe that would be more of an issue to quickly get it, you know, get it the back done. But as it isn't warping, so that way I have the option of only backing it if I absolutely need to. So in other words, if I was cutting a belly band out of it or a pocket, I don't need to waste the time or use the materials to back something that will never be seen. Now, if it needs stabilization, that's a different story. But for aesthetics, I would not need to, I would not need to back the whole thing. So we'll just stop there. Again, it's just a reminder that this is an option. And if I cut them out, they will be ready. Okay. So the reason I pulled out the ruler was, as a rule, and this has been folded. I guess maybe I had it as a part of a signature or something. So I will just begin gluing. I should probably also get rid of the green here. That's pretty good. So I am cutting away the green parts, and of course they will be used at some future point. I can make this a long one because that I don't know, what is that, vintage photo or something, that would be fine. Even that may be okay because it could be covered by something else. Let's do this like so. If you have done your taxes, congrats. If you're still postponing, well, I guess in the US the deadline is come and gone. In Canada we have until April 30th to file. And if the 30th happens to fall on a Sunday, I don't know if they count Saturday, but if it falls on a Sunday, you know, the deadline is extended to the next business day, which would be Monday. So maybe I will put some of these down first. And at this point, I'm just going to use, maybe I should pull out a glue book. I did switch my mat to the cleaner side. I'm finding it impossible to totally get the other side clean. And of course, because I'm right-handed and I was doing all that cutting, all the scars are on this side of the board. And I, of course, want the grid, the numbers to be able to, you know, serve my purpose. So I'm not going to have it upside down and then further confuse myself with measurements. So, yeah, I just brought out a second one of these dollar store cutting mats, but I still think it's better to kind of use the, how many of these have I got? You know that my typical approach is to use all of the like elements at the same time, and that way I am pretty well guaranteed that I have kind of an even distribution of the particular color or design or whatever. My second piece of glue, and already I've managed to get into the, yikes, managed to get into the gluey parts. Okay, where was I? Oh, I was hoping that you have done your taxes and have gotten that monkey off your back. Yeah, it's no fun. I remember years ago when I would hear the personal development guru, Jim Rohn, speak. He used to be very critical of people who complain about paying taxes. And he was American. I think he's now deceased, but he would say, why in the world, and of course he had the kind of a drawl, he would say, why in the world are you begrudging feeding the golden goose? Like, in other words, living in, well, your country or mine, is obviously a blessing. And these things don't just, they don't finance themselves. They don't happen by accident. The perks and the benefits that we have living in a democracy and, having, freedom, democracy, justice, health, all those things that much of the world is doing without, cost some money. So why would we complain about paying our fair share? So, it's that old line about it doesn't matter what happens to you, it's what you think about what happens to you. And that's another thing, once you hear a rationale or an argument or a new fact or whatever, it's pretty, unless you're totally narrow-minded, it's pretty hard to unhear it and to say, well, no, what do you mean? I don't agree. So maybe I should cut some slightly bigger pieces, because otherwise I run the risk of kind of just having, again, a whole bunch of itty-bitty stuff. So yeah, it's, you can't pretend you didn't hear that. No, I guess I should get over it. I was going to say, I don't want to cover anything up. I feel like I need to roughen up or rip up this edge a bit. So now, again, chances are it will be covered by something else, but still, if it's not, I will not be happy. So pay your damn taxes. Don't complain. Yeah. Check in with me at the end of the month when we find out how much I have to pay. No, I do get it. So I won't complain. Oh, look at that. It's almost like I had a plan. It connects this and this. And it is also quite often part of my process to keep turning the page, the substrate around, so that I don't fall into a trap of only seeing, only doing it one way. If you've been here for some while, you know that I met Kim Newberg and Thelma Findley when I went to Manitoba, and I've done haul videos. Kim has done haul videos, and of course, in her last couple, she's been showing her bag of jewelry, broken bits and so on. And having been exposed to these gals for a while, I really feel a renewed desire, or maybe not renewed, maybe it's just happening. It's actually just occurring. Desire to, maybe I should leave that hole and use these guys. To use more, my goodness, I can't spit the words out. To use more lusciousness, like, and I don't want to cover up all the cream parts, so Maybe I need to go more this way. So in other words, use the trim, use the lace, use the bejeweled and the bedazzled stuff. And I think part of that, of course, means using some of the, using jewelry too. So one of these days, I'm going to gather up some pieces that I think should find their way into these journals and really make an effort to push myself, you know, out of my comfort zone. And because I think, I don't think this is a revelation, but I think that this might be better towards the top layer. How many of these did I cut out? Just 2? Yeah, I think so. This is a good way to either cover a straight edge or create a line where you need one, or cover a seam where you need one, where you need to. It's got some white on it though. Maybe it's simpler just to ink it. Okay. What is it? Something preserves. Seedless preserves. Ooh, that might be too pinky. Anyway, to move out of my comfort zone and, again, use it, don't store it kind of scenario, I'm just going to maybe try this on the back side. Oh, I guess if I go very gently, it'll work. You know, there are some people that ink every single thing that they put down on a masterboard. I would have to shoot myself if that happened. That seems like too, well, but then some people just love inking. You stand still long enough and they will ink you from top to bottom. Yeah, I'm not one of those people, so. Okay, that knocks back that a bit, so I can use that. I should also probably put these 2 frames in somewhere. Because again, I don't know how much more, because I love the background. I'm not gonna go bananas adding, I'll use this. Bananas, adding a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe it's more artsy to have several things showing through the frame. Or maybe I need to have it running this way. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to breaking out. That's where I'm going to put it. Yeah, to breaking out of the conservative approach I've had and just going nuts. Because again, when you do something kind of eclectic, you can mix different styles, colors. I haven't ever gone totally eclectic, and maybe that needs to be on my radar one of these days. I hope that was straight. And you know, these came, and there's slight embossing on them. These came out of something or other that I bought. And there were a variety of colors, and I've used some of the other colors. And I don't know if this is the last of them or not, but I'm sure I could have embossed and die cut some of my own stuff, but again, there's a limit to how much you can do in preparation and how much you can have on hand for a video. Okay. This board is starting to curl up a bit, so I'm going to have to, when all is said and done, just sort of probably put it under some weight. Again, I will just add these two pieces, and I know that I have more wherever I need to put it. And, you know, things are going, everything is kind of going in a different direction. So got some vertical elements, some horizontal elements. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need a third one at least on this. But you try to envision where it might end up being. See, it's almost like now these are two arrows pointing at something. Okay, I said I wanted to use some of the labels, so we can throw some of these down. It's like dealing cards. I could have it running off the edge of the page. Well, maybe I should glue those down and then see what's what. Wonder, am I the sloppiest gluer in the universe? Oh, didn't mean to do the whole thing. I guess I'll put this one here. So much for the positioning. Just lift it all up and let the chips fall where they may. Oh, I managed to pick the one with the little boo-boo on it. That's okay. It will get no one will even know. Oh, I can't remember where I got this from. One other thing that doing income tax does, I don't know if the same thing happens to you, when I start, you know, totaling things up, because we're not the kind of people that, you know, do the whole every month, every week kind of accounting, which is, I don't know, probably can't teach old dogs new tricks. Is that maybe the category that we're at here? Anyway, when we start totaling stuff up for income tax, I think to myself, OMG, how much money can one family spend? You know, and you can pick a category, you know, meals out. I don't think that we eat out as often as some people do, but there are sure a heck of a lot of receipts at the end of the year. What about fuel? And of course, you know, some of that includes farm fuel for, you know, implements and machinery and stuff like that. Implements and machinery, they're the same thing. And let's say perhaps at thrift stores. Just saying. So yeah, I think there's a whoa kind of reaction and a half-hearted perhaps intention to rein things in. And, you know, I'm saying this in a kidding way, but I think, you know, I'm really very serious. It is good to be aware of what one is doing and why. That's always a good thing. So, anyway, for what it's worth. Okay, are we using these little dark circles here? I guess they kind of break things up. I think I only had, was it 3? Oh, and I still have these like dahlias or whatever these are. And these are magnolias, I think. That's pretty. Where, pray tell, did... Oh, there it is. Okay, let's cut this thing off because it's distorting how we're seeing it. And of course I could put this somewhere too. Okay, so we want these darker elements someplace where we may be lacking some of that contrast. I don't know. I don't know if I care for that, to be honest. What would happen if we threw some of these little gray tweets? I think that I am not going to care for these little birds. Not in this context. Look, let them sit on that braided board or braided thing there. Are there only 4 of them? Did anybody count the birds? Let's see how many of these bigger. Oh, I only have 4 of these guys. Is that too kitschy to put that in the frame? What happens if we put some of these guys down? Maybe it's time to tear up this doily. Try to get 3 pieces out of it. Okie dokie. Yeah, it's too bad. Oh, there's this, but this side isn't so great, is it? But okay, I like this piece up here, so let's just glue this one down and see what we have. And of course, you know how fragile doilies are, but after they've been painted several times, they get pretty darn resilient. And again, you know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This will be unrecognizable, in essence, once it is cut up. That is pretty cool too, but we've got to stick with the plan. I heard on the news today that the Edmonton Oilers will finish the season in second place in the, should have paid attention to what the division is called, behind Vancouver Canucks. So the fans here, Edmonton, Alberta, well, anywhere I guess, that they are pretty rabid. So, I mean, over the years when the team hasn't been doing as well, of course, even if you were probably just awakening from a coma, you might know that this was where Wayne Gretzky got started and was back in the day sold like chattel to the LA Kings. Anyway, that team in the 80s was virtually unbeatable. They won something like 5 or 6 Stanley Cups, I think, in a row. Or yeah, isn't it too bad that I don't have this under the frame? But again, we can't do anything about that now. Anyway, so of course, breaking up that, well, and of course all those guys are pretty old now, and their career, everyone is retired and gone on to bigger and better things, or maybe not bigger and better, but have gone on to other things. So the fans and probably even coaching staff and the owners consoled themselves with the idea that, they're rebuilding. Well, and rebuilding. And rebuilding to the point that, people are kind of getting, impatient and ugly. And, I think it's quite a bit as that is bravado, like, well, I've been a season ticket holder for however many years, but I'm not renewing and blah, blah, blah. And everybody's an armchair quarterback, forgive the mix of sports, and knows what should be done, or thinks they do. So, like how long, how long can the rebuilding go? So then we get Connor McDavid, who I think is, generally believed to be the greatest player who's lost a flower, who's played the game, and racking up some unbelievable numbers, and it's just seems to be such a good and decent man. Anyway, it just feels like, okay, finally now, their turn has come. I'm going to glue these bigger, like these magnolia things down. I only have 4 of them, though. I'm thinking these are not going to make the cut. And the birds aren't going to make the cut. I will see if I have 3 of these guys, like I don't know, what are those? Dahlias? Mums? Just looking under every rock to see if I can find something else. Oh, and I've got 2 little baby ones over here. So we'll see if those are needed. Anyway, and then we'll finish this. And I will add a few more of these because I think they bring something to this, but I'm not going to make you watch that. Okay, so that, and that, and that, and that. Anyway, and of course, we know that the economic spin-off for no, these aren't stickers. I should probably, again, sorry, but I think I might have to run over this with a brush because that white is kind of a bit much. The economic spin-off to cities whose teams are in the playoffs, is it numbers in the millions. Bars and hotels and meals and fuel and shopping and so on. So, who doesn't need that shot in the arm in this economy? So, and people who know about this stuff calculate it, I think, fairly closely to... Actually, this kind of is giving it a little pickup, a little zip. It kind of picks up this color here. So if you have a professional sports team in your area, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So I hope for the captain's sake, because really, if I think if a player finds that he can have success, now he's a Canadian boy, but he's from Ontario. If you find that you can have success, you will stay anywhere to keep getting that feeling, to keep getting that that rush, that endorphin thing that happens. However, if it becomes a losing cause, or whatever, you see your career getting away on you, that's when discontent enters the picture, and then you've got contract things, and then you lose your star player to somebody who will pay him more, or everywhere the climate is warmer. Bah, humbug. So, yeah, we want to keep our boy happy, and we want all the fans who have been loyal all these years, who live and breathe and have oil running in their veins, ride the wave. And it's surprising how, all of a sudden you start seeing those car flags and people pimping up their vehicles and, honking and wearing jerseys to work and on game day or whatever. And it just, I don't know, like I had nothing to do with it. And yet it creates some kind of feeling of I don't know, some bond or something. Do I have them all here? 3 and 4. I guess I do. Maybe I should use this. Yeah, it creates some sort of bond, and we share in their... it's like we take ownership of their success. And we also feel the pain when they don't do well. It affects people's moods, and so I don't understand. I mean, I guess it's not that complicated, but yeah, I really hope that they go all the way. It's a heartbreaker if they don't. And what most people really cannot take, and I probably count myself among them, is if the effort isn't there. I think most people of our generation know that you can't always win. I mean, we didn't grow up in the era of it's impossible to fail in school. So we know that it is possible in the real world that you will fail, that you won't always get your way, that you will lose, and that could be at love or in your career or, okay, what's happening here? So, yeah, people, I don't know, there's a whole psychology around this. I just know that it's a very pleasant atmosphere to be in, but kind of angst-ridden too. When your team is making a run, I think this is going to be pretty darn cool. Maybe I'll put that over that bit of that label and get rid of that expanse. And the thing is, like, they play a lot of games in a season. So am I going to drop everything and watch an Oilers game every time they play, home and or away? No, chances are I'm making a video, watching a video, chilling out with Netflix. But I go to the living room. What's the score now? Oh, about I'm invested, and yeah, I just can't afford the time. But I'm very interested in what's happening. It's also very hard on the nerves, whether if you're a mother of a kid that's playing, like maybe a goalie, that's got to be the worst. And like you cringe on behalf of your child. So it's like you want your people to do well. I feel like that's a good arrangement. And I'm sure, it's probably another long video. When I see you next, I will show you what it looks like after I've added those rope-like pieces. I don't think I'm going to add anything more. Pretty sure those birds aren't going to make it. Yeah, if they were a different color, they'd have a chance, and I don't know that I want. I suppose those might be okay, especially if I use them kind of to knock back the labels a bit. If I put one on every label, this is a different shape. Let's keep the shape the same. If I can get it separated. I think I'm going to do it. And then I'll probably find out I won't have any space left to put those ropes in after I cut them out. It does help when you add these elements to break up those kinds of lines. Oh, it almost landed peanut butter side down. What else can I tell you? Oh, poor little Gertie, daughter's French bulldog, who, and she knew this as she was considering what breed to buy, are prone to back issues. And I'll spare you the details. Let's just say that she came home from the vet clinic today after having undergone back surgery. And so she has, so it was a case of an exam, you know, at an emergency vet clinic on Sunday, and I'm taping this Wednesday. An MRI. She stayed in the clinic overnight because the ride, even though it wasn't that far, would have been like too much jostling. Only a 20-minute ride or so. But anyway, an MRI and the diagnosis from the neurologist. So do you hear the cash register ringing? The neurologist saying, yes, there is a hemorrhage. I shouldn't maybe say it if I haven't reread that text lately, but at the L3 and 4. So we know in a human spine, we've got the cervical spine, which is the top at your neck. We have the thoracic spine, which is sort of the next part. And then we have the lumbar spine, which of course is the base of our backs. Oh, this guy's loose. So anyway, L3 and 4. So apparently, and the specialist said to them, I'm sure it feels to you like this all happened very quickly. She says, but the reality is that it actually moved quite slowly, and that sometimes, in the matter of that little bit of time, because she had exhibited some symptoms, some difficulty walking the night before. I was there on Sunday because Hillary and I have tickets to the theater. And then when, they were carrying her around like you had an armful of logs so that she wouldn't have to walk. So carry her out to pee or to poop. And so I'm kind of watching this process, and she couldn't exactly squat down to do her business. And then she tried to turn like her body, and her back leg, on the one side, it was just like useless. So that's when, the emergency vet clinic and blah, 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 that process began. Anyway, so of course they had to sedate her for the MRI. If as a human, if you've ever had an MRI, you know that is not a fun experience whatsoever. I had to do it, and it was for my shoulder. So of course that means that, they have to get the upper part of your body. And I was fine. You lie down, and they say, it'll probably be best if you close your eyes. And I was, I'm compliant. I can follow directions, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was fine until the bed started moving. So I opened my eyes, kind of reflex, and I see how darn close the tube, the roof is to my face. I'm thinking, OMG. I don't consider myself a claustrophobic person, but it took every ounce of character and strength and just bearing down and getting through it. And another thing that people find distressing, but I think they give you headphones, if I'm not mistaken, give you a choice of what kind of music or whatever, is that rat-a-tat sound of the machine doing it, taking all those images. So I can only imagine what that would be like for a dog who, with their good hearing. Okay, I'll just maybe fussy cut as I finish the story. Anyway, and of course I'm asking questions of Hillary, and so I say, well, what's the success rate? And is it likely to recur in dogs after they've had this surgery and all of that? Anyway, 95% success rate. She was in good shape because she was still eating, drinking, and toileting. So those were all factors in her, in the prognosis. She also is, I don't think she's even 3 years, or maybe she just turned 3 in October. I can't remember. Her birthday's on Halloween. Anyway, so this surgery was successful. The surgeon was very, very happy. But of course, she had to stay in the kennel because of pain management and all of that. So the parents weren't allowed to visit because, it's kind of hard to go there and then the dog sees that she can't go home with you kind of thing. Anyway, so they were just getting photo updates, and she got a gift from the clinic staff, a little toy. And anyway, so she came home this afternoon, and there's this open top plastic crate. So she needs 4 weeks of crate rest. And then, of course, like any muscles that aren't being used, there will be, some atrophying and some stiffening up and all of that. So she may need physiotherapy too. But anyway, one of the pictures that we got today is someone at the clinic. So Gertie is standing, but her haunches, right at the back, like before where her back legs are, they've got this support, this sling kind of thing, and it's attached to these straps that I guess the human needs to use whenever she has to walk. So in other words, the human is supporting the weight of her body, and she's not putting weight on that, those back legs. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But that also means that for the second year in a row, their big plan to go on a trip down the Oregon coast, Pacific Coast Highway, gets scrapped. Last year was because they were readying their properties for the market so that they could buy a house together. And this year it's playing veterinary assistance. So anyway, for the love of a dog, that's what you do. So yeah, if you want to say a little doggy prayer for Gertie, that would be good. She did come through very well, but it's like anytime you see someone who's not feeling up to par, whether it's a parent, a child, a stranger, an animal, your heart just kind of goes out to them, and you wish it was all better. And I do understand that in many parts of the world, there are humans that aren't getting that level of medical attention and care. So, that never is far from my thought process. We understand that, she they are living a life of privilege. But those of you who have pets and love pets totally get it. So I'm just the Nana. So anyway, I'm going to stop there. I will finish fussy cutting this. I'll add more of these strips and we will call it a day. The work on this journal is going to continue. I'm going to be doing, again, more of it offline. But one of these days, we're going to start putting stuff in pockets, and we're going to make some more ephemera and finish the stuff, the stuff in this tray. So please keep tuning back in to see how this goes. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.